Author's Press.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Richardson, and I'm from Author's Press. Today is September 28th, and I'm gathered here today with Barbara Weishuhn, author of Babies and Butterflies. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Barbara?
Okay, well, that's the point. I'm a retired person, probably a little bit too much time on my hands, but I'm a retired licensed practical nurse. I spent 45 years in the nursing profession and 32 years of that in a neonatal intensive care unit. So that will lead us to where a lot of the babies came from. But family and friends are here. Michigan's been home for a long time.
I don't think I've ever been to Michigan.
Well, we're a pretty good state. We have 4 seasons. Sometimes that's good, sometimes not.
Right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your book, Barbara?
Okay. Well, it kind of came about because of taking the photos of the babies. You'll find that half of them in this book are from the neonatal unit. I started just taking them for my own purpose or the families. Then it led to using them for displays and any promotions that we did for the unit. And then the final thing was a nurse manager asked me to take specific photos, and we hung them on the walls for everybody to enjoy. So that was kind of a proud achievement of mine. So I was happy for that. The other children in the book are, again, family, friends, children, and grandchildren. And I'm kind of proud to say my mother was blessed to have 4 great-grandchildren. And so the little one on the cover was her 4th. So she has kind of a special spot in everybody's heart here. She has grown up, though. This book took a while to put together, so she's now 14.
Grown up. Definitely not this big anymore.
No, not quite.
So for the first question I have for you is, I guess this is the second question. Never mind. Can you tell me about you being an author?
Well, again, that's kind of how it came about, was just over the years spans that I took these photos. And then if I can explain a little later about the butterflies, I put the book together for myself and just a personal book. And then down the road, I saw some advertisements for publishing. So I thought, well, let's try it. So that's really how it came about. Kind of simple, but yet took a lot of years to put it together.
Simple but effective.
Yeah.
What are some memorable experiences you've had as an author?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Right now, because it's sort of still the beginnings of it, just pleased and honored when my friends buy the book. So I can't say there's been too much to it yet. We're still working at marketing it.
Well, slow and steady wins the race, as they say.
Yep.
Who is your target audience for this book?
Yeah, that's when you look at it and you see it, it almost gets pointed at new parents or grandparents. But because there's some quotes in there that I personally used in my life, and they had to do with caterpillars and butterflies, I think the book is for anybody. But maybe I should here. I know you've got the book, but I've got the page marked. Nobody will know until they open the book that they can personalize it. There's a blank page for them. And so they can put their own child or their own special child, because I don't have any children of my own. So anybody that, whether it's yours or just somebody you really care about. So that's what I'm saying. Nobody can know that unless you get to see the inside of the book or hear me, or it's also out there on a radio interview. But
when I was flipping through this, I did not see that.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's sort of tucked in there, and it's sort of meant to be a little surprise. But when I realized, that most of the people are seeing this online, they don't realize that it's in there. So definitely I have to mention that for sure. Yeah, I have to mention it.
Definitely a pleasant little surprise.
Yeah, and it does. That's what I'm saying. If you want to give it as a gift to somebody, you can just throw in a picture or point it out to them. So, because that's where it seems to be headed.
I feel like this has been lightly touched on already, but what is the key theme or message of your book?
Okay. Well, both the babies and the butterflies are really new life. And so I'm sort of taking it for granted that most people know that the butterfly represents that. It's new life and new hope. And the whole purpose of a butterfly in its cocoon is to emerge as something beautiful. And that's quite a process in nature and even for human beings. So that probably won't come across just by looking at my book. So that's why I hope I can share a couple of things here with you about why they're so important to me. But in the long run, that's the point. If you see a newborn baby, all of its innocence, and you see a butterfly floating around in your garden, it's just take note of it, take it in and think what it represents. So that's what I'm saying. The other thing about butterflies, again, before I get to mine, there are quite a few people who've had their own little butterfly symbol stories. So again, I think that's what I'm kind of hoping for, is when they see and go through the book, they might recall something that was special in their life.
Butterflies have always meant a lot to me because they're my mom's favorite animal, bug. Just her favorite. So it makes me think of my mom.
No, that's kind of what I'm saying. If you totally see one and look at one and know where it came from, the story of the caterpillar to the butterfly, it's the most amazing creature on earth.
By the way, you are free to discuss the meaning behind the butterflies. You can discuss that right now.
Okay, so I need to read an end kind of something for you, because that was the point in my life, and I'm giving away my age, but that's all right. I was introduced to this book in 1982. It's called Hope for the Flowers. And the lady who wrote it is very humble, and she just celebrated her 90th birthday and about coming up on the 50th year of her book. But it's really what started things for me and in my life. So let me read a couple and then I can explain my own anecdotes. There's a lot to the story, but we'll have to tell you that there's two caterpillars going through this book. There's a black and white striped one and a yellow one. And so one day the yellow one sort of went off on her own, and she came across a gray-haired caterpillar hanging upside down on a branch. And he surprised her. And she says, "Are you in trouble?" He says, "No, my dear. I have to do this to become a butterfly." So as he's hanging upside down, she just thinks about what it is to be a butterfly. And I flip pages here. So she finally says to him, "What do I have to do to become a butterfly?" He says, "Watch me. I'm making a cocoon. It looks like I'm hiding, I know, but a cocoon is no escape. It's an in-between house where the change takes place. It's a big step since you can never return to caterpillar life. During the change, it will seem to you or to anyone who might peek that nothing is happening, but the butterfly is already becoming. It just takes time. And that was the start of quite a journey for me to have been introduced to this book, because again, I don't think there's a person alive, even you as a young lady there, that doesn't have some ups and downs in life. And so I have to constantly remind myself that's what the butterfly represents. New beginnings, new hope. And if you read the book, again, it has a little bit more of a different meaning, but it just started my life out that way. So every time I see a butterfly, I think of that. And the other point of the book, then, all the butterflies in that book come from, I'll say local, but it's a town a little ways away from me. And it's called the Midland Dell Gardens. And they have a yearly butterfly festival. Find some butterfly house. And so I'll go there and sit and be patient and take photos. So all of them in there are from the Dell Gardens. It's my little place of what you say, a little bit of heaven on earth. It's a quiet place to reflect on nature, but to watch the butterflies flit around, that again is what I'm saying. I don't think the people will quite get it by looking at my book, but I certainly want them to take notice, because now if I go outside, I do see them in my gardens. And this time of year in Michigan, the monarch is quite prevalent. It's headed back down south. So that will sort of lead me to one of my anecdotes, if you'll let me, because it was, I say dates, but there's a reason for that. It was 1985, and just about, it was fall, end of September, and it was like a year before that I had been sick here and there, nothing drastic, but just tired of being sick. So one morning there on the kitchen window in an apartment I was living in, just beautiful monarch, sat there for a long, long time, just sunning itself. And it just, that's what I'm saying. When you see one of them, then it's like, oh, geez. That's the reason, Barb. That's, things are gonna get better. So the anecdote goes, because 10 years later to the date, my father passed away. So when I relayed the story to my sister, she made a point of having the monarch on his, what you call memorial card there when they, at the funeral homes. But the monarch, again, the very name is the king, you know? So it's become very outstanding for me. And because I can't walk you through my house, you'll find monarchs all over the place. You can see some here in the background. And so wherever I go, and friends have given me things, my entire house, not a room in this house doesn't have a butterfly in it. And the garden likewise has its own. So I was a little hesitant to share this one with you, but I'd like to. The second one sort of goes along with my dad, but it was just another reminder that butterflies are free to fly, okay? It was around my 65th birthday. I left some music on at night. I woke up early in the morning. So you have to understand, the CDs just kept playing. And when I walked out into the living room, at the exact moment, the song that Mariah Carey sings, Butterfly, was on. And the line I'll give you is, spread your wings and prepare to fly, for you will become a butterfly. It was just another reminder to me. I was sad because a friend of mine was going to go into hospice. And then when I thought about the date, the morning I arose, it was again my father's birthday. So there's just these little stories and these little anecdotes that they're mine and they're my personal story, but you kind of hope that maybe somebody, when they read that one, will read my book, will have their own memories. So again, when you held up the book, because of Hope for the Flowers, that's the reason Katie's in yellow, because of the yellow butterfly in Hope for the Flowers. Because those two
just have a quick question. Is that also why you're wearing yellow right here?
You got it. You're absolutely right.
Yellow is actually one of my favorite colors, yellow and pink. Yeah. So.
Well, it does. And again, yellow is sunshine and bright. And that's why my porch here, where you're seeing me, is yellow and full of brightness, because, yep, it's exactly why I put it on that day. So, I'm hoping I haven't really left anything out with you. Those were the two things that I wanted to share, and the importance of the story, Hope for the Flowers, and Katie there. But
I'm honored you trusted me enough to share that story with me. It's very beautiful, and I felt myself getting very emotional when you were talking. I don't know if you could tell or not, but I was all taking deep breaths and everything.
Well, in a way, again, that's kind of why I was a little hesitant, but I do share the story, and I've shared it even with perfect strangers somewhere in the grocery store. But the reason I say that is, again, those butterflies can connect you with other people. That is another small story. I was sitting in a photo place in the grocery store and doing photos. Well, you can see the person in the next, booth, so to speak. And the lady and I started talking, because that's what she noticed, the butterflies. And so, again, it was very heartwarming, because when I shared with her, she had stayed away. Likewise, she had a father who passed away, and she was feeling sad, and I encouraged her to go back to the Dell Gardens, and she did, and she sent me a note probably about 6 months or a year later. So that's not quite what you expect sometimes, but when you share those stories, that's what you kind of hope it does, is touches somebody's heart. So
yeah. It's always a warm feeling when you touch somebody else's heart. It always touches your own.
Well, that's kind of what you hope. And again, I'll be really upright with you and honest. Again, I'm certainly not alone in this. We've all in this world been through a horrific time with the pandemic and anything else that got thrown in there. So I've had to use my book just to remind myself that there's always hope. There's always hope. So if I could read to you what the mother of Katie said. She wrote this as a review for me when Authors Press started with me. She says, "This book brings peace to you. All the babies bring a sense of calm no matter what is going on around you. It's uplifting to see the wonderful creations that God has made." And I think that probably sums it up, Nicole. The babies are new life, the butterflies are new life. So I thank you so much for listening to me and letting me share all that.
I'm honored that you shared it with me. I'm glad that you felt you trusted me enough to be able to share that. And I just have a couple more questions for you before we wrap this up. So, how does it feel seeing somebody else hold a copy of your book?
Fantastic.
I'm sure. And a question I want to ask on top of that, how did it feel the very first time you saw somebody else hold your book, a copy of your book?
Well, again, I'd probably say thrilled and proud, because it really would have been my friends. I go to lunch with some ladies and they all bought it right away. So probably that. So, and not sure if you're going to ask this, but I heard it from one of your other interviews. I do have a website, but they have to be able to spell my last name because it's just simple, booksbybarbaraweiszun.com. But the other is to plug the fact that Authors Press sells the book, and then, of course, Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. But with one more statement, I guess, about the fact that it's a soft-covered book, paperback, that's where you can personalize it. I'm not so sure you can with an ebook, but that's just a slight drawback.
Right. And that answered my next question. My next question
Okay.
was, where can readers find out more about you and your books? So
Yeah.
we can have a link put up with your name on it, so that way it's spelled properly.
Yeah. It's not a common name. It's an old German name.
And just so our readers and watchers heard us, where can readers find out more about you and your books or book?
Well, that's the point. Booksbybarbaraweiszun.com. It does tell a little bit about me, and it shows a little bit about the book. Yep, there you go. Thanks.
Welcome. And for our final question, how do you feel about working with Authors Press?
Whoops, I couldn't quite hear you, Nicole.
For our final question, how do you feel about working with Authors Press?
Oh, they've been helpful. They really have. And I have to admit that the call from Authors Press sort of came out of the blue. I guess my book had been kind of put out there by Amazon, and when the call came and she talked to me, she talked for an hour just to get to know me. So I appreciate that, and they've done all of the marketing and all of the help that I've needed.
Well, I guess that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you for meeting with me, Barbara. It was an honor to discuss your book with you.
I appreciate it. I really do.
And an honor to hear about your personal stories as well. That was very nice. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact us via our phone number or our email. Yeah, it was such a wonderful pleasure to talk to you. Have a wonderful day, Barbara.
Thank you so much. Bye.